Ableton Live's Chorus and Phaser-Flanger devices have a really cool feature that I don't see a lot of people talking about, and that is the warmth feature. So in this video, what I want to do is go through the warmth feature, help you understand it so that you might be able to figure out how you can use it in your own productions. Let's dive right in. So first of all, let's take a listen to the warmth feature in action. Here I've got a just drum break loop that sounds like this. And let's go ahead and add the Chorus-Ensemble device instead of the Phaser-Flanger device. So both of these devices, the Chorus-Ensemble and the Phaser-Flanger device, have this warmth feature. However, it's a lot easier to get it much more transparent on the Chorus-Ensemble device than it is on the Phaser-Flanger device. So because of this, we're gonna use the Chorus-Ensemble device. So let's go ahead and add this to this drum break track. And then let's just turn down the amount control of the chorus here and the rate control as well, just to be safe, so that basically we're not hearing any chorusing whatsoever. Just to be even safer, let's go ahead and turn this to the vibrato mode. And now if I turn this Chorus-Ensemble on and off, you'll basically hear no difference. There's a subtle, slight difference, but it's really, really pretty insignificant. So now let's go ahead and turn up this warmth feature and have a listen to what happens as I increase this warmth parameter. You'll hear that the signal becomes more distorted, more kind of crunchy, and it also loses some of its high frequency content. And this contributes to that warm aesthetic or characteristic, kind of like a lo-fi characteristic, which is what this particular control is really, really great at achieving. Now, because of the kind of characteristic that this control imparts on the sound, it's also really useful for a lot of those kind of lo-fi synth wavy sounds. So things like kind of more analog synth kind of basses and pad sounds. So for instance, here I've got a really simple kind of plucky Moog-like bass patch I put together in Drift. Let's go ahead and add the Chorus-Ensemble to this. Once again, set it to vibrato mode, turn down the amount, and just start to increase the warmth. Really subtle, but we start to get that nice crunchy kind of warm lo-fi aesthetic. And here I've got a simple pad sound. Let's go ahead and add the Chorus-Ensemble to this. Again, turn down the amount and increase the warmth control. And what I find really nice about the warmth control on things like pads and maybe ARP sounds is that because of the way that it distorts the signal, we start to get this really crunchy sound when we have more than one note playing at once. And of course, what's really cool about it is we can then increase the amount when it's on like a chorus or ensemble mode and start to get a chorusing effect too. So now that we understand what the warmth parameter sounds like and kind of some situations where we can use it, let's take a little bit of a deep dive under the hood and take a look at what it's actually doing to the sound. Because I find that if we actually understand what something is doing, it helps us to be able to understand what situations we can use it in and why we might choose that particular thing over a different device or plugin. Okay, so first let's take a look at the distortion that this particular parameter is applying to the sound. Here I have just a simple sine wave playing an operator at 100 Hertz. So we can see that showing up here in the spectrum. Let's go ahead and add a Chorus-Ensemble device to this after the operator and before the spectrum. Once again, let's set it to vibrato mode and turn down the amount. Have a look at what's going on here in the spectrum as we start to increase the warmth control. you can see that we get a lot of harmonics added to the signal. Harmonics being frequencies that are related by an integer multiple to that fundamental frequency. Not only are we getting that fundamental frequency isn't actually increasing in volume either, so it's actually really useful. But one thing that is worth noting is that these harmonics that are generated here are different to something like what Saturator is generating. Because here with the warmth control in Chorus-Ensemble, we're generating both odd and even numbered harmonics. To see this a little bit clearer, let's open up the spectrum by double clicking. Let's turn off this Chorus-Ensemble device and again, just take a look at the basic sine wave. Here we can see it at 100 Hertz. And then if I turn on this Chorus-Ensemble device, take a look at the frequencies that are generated. This is our fundamental frequency here at 100. And then we also have a frequency at 200, one at 3, one at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc., etc., etc. So every single integer multiple or whole number multiple of that fundamental frequency, we're getting an additional frequency to the sound. Let's take a look at this comparatively to something like using Ableton Live's Saturator. So let's add a Saturator here just after this Chorus-Ensemble, turn off the Chorus-Ensemble, and with the Saturator, let's increase the drive by say 7 dB and decrease the output by 7 dB as well. So once again, let's take a look at our basic sine wave here at 100 Hertz. And if I turn on this Saturator, have a look at the frequencies that are generated. We can see here it's 100, 300, 500, 700, 900, all of the odd numbered multiples of that fundamental frequency, again, as opposed to the Chorus-Ensemble, which is every single multiple of that fundamental frequency. So it actually achieves a slightly different sound to the standard Saturator. And why this is cool is there's not really another device inside of Ableton Live that achieves this particular kind of distortion, not even in Saturator. And this has a whole bunch of different implications, but it does result in a slightly different sonic characteristic, which is one reason why you might want to choose this warmth control over using something like Saturator. If you're interested in learning more from me outside of these YouTube videos, I actually offer things like one-on-one lessons, monthly mentorship, and online courses, all of which you can find out more info about on my website through the links below. You can also go there and book a free consultation to figure out how I might be able to help you with your music making journey. You'll find links for all of that in the description. Now, when listening to the initial examples, we also established that we began to lose some of those higher frequencies with this warmth control. And that's because as well as adding distortion, this warmth control also adds some filtering in the form of low pass filtering to the sound. To showcase this here, I've got an operator playing just simple white noise. Let's take a look at this here again in the spectrum. And now as we increase the warmth on this Chorus-Ensemble, take a look here in this higher frequency region above the 10,000 Hertz. You can see that we now have this slight roll off here in the frequency content, kind of above 8,000 to 10,000 Hertz, we begin to lose some of that frequency content. So as well as applying distortion, we also lose or attenuate some of these higher frequencies, which adds to that lo-fi or warm aesthetic that this particular control is providing. Now, if you don't like this aspect of the warmth control, you can kind of reduce the effects of this filtering by simply adding back those frequencies with an EQ. You're not going to be able to add them back entirely, but you can get a somewhat close representation. If you just want to be a bit more broad strokes about it, you can of course just go and add a channel EQ after the Chorus-Ensemble and increase the high frequency control. But that's going to boost it a little bit too much around this kind of 4 to 5K region. So instead, what you might want to do is go and add an EQ 8 and use a high shelf to boost just a little bit higher in the frequency range. So without the EQ and with. Again, you're not going to be able to get back all of those frequencies, but if you want to, you can restore some of that higher frequency content that is lost because of the filtering applied by the warmth control. This is particularly useful if you're applying the warmth on some kind of drum loop or something, for instance, where you want to retain the clarity of, say, hi-hats in that drum loop. Now, don't forget that this warmth parameter, again, also exists on the Phaser-Flanger device. However, again, you can't get it as clean as the Chorus-Ensemble device because of the way that the Phaser-Flanger device works. You're always going to get some of that phasing or flanging effect. Because of that, if you're wanting to just apply this warmth distortion as opposed to some chorusing or phasing or flanging, I recommend using the Chorus-Ensemble device. And so now, hopefully you understand a little bit more about what this warmth parameter does and why you might want to use it over, say, something like a Saturator in your own productions. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you all in the next video.